Nathan Baird, Stephen Means, cleveland.com. We're coming to you from Ohio Stadium after Ohio State's 45-12 victory over Arkansas State. Had to stop for a second to remember that score. I'm going to go home tonight and write some more things about this game, and in the morning I have to get up and do my AP ballot. And so does a bunch of other people around the country. And the question will be, Georgia's going to be number one. Georgia's going to be number one, I think, this coming week. Maybe. Actually, Alabama's still, maybe not, because Alabama had to go on the road and beat Texas today. Texas was a ranked team. Alabama goes on the road, beats them 20-19. Texas was not ranked. I ranked Texas. I think I look kind of smart for that, but they were not ranked. You're right. So Alabama goes on the road and beats Texas 20-19, last-second field goal. They opened the season 55-0 over Utah State, which is a team that I think is actually better than the one Ohio State played today at home and beat 45-12. And Ohio State also has a 21-10 win over Notre Dame. So who should be ranked higher in the poll, Alabama or Ohio State?
Ohio State. They beat a top-5 team without their best player. And, yes, Arkansas State pulled off some stuff today, but they held them without touchdowns the entire game, and that's got to mean something. And even if you thought the offense was wonky, they still scored plus 40 points, which is what you expect from this offense. And top 5 wins got to matter, especially when Alabama did not look good today. And it, quite frankly, that game came down to a former Ohio State cornerback, Ryan Watts, not securing a tackle on a very nicely timed call on a cornerback blitz. So, Alabama hasn't done anything yet this year that's made me feel a lot more comfortable about them than I do about Ohio State.
So I haven't made a decision. I haven't really even thought about how I'm going to rank teams.
Don't give your decision, actually, because you actually have to vote in this, but just kind of tease it.
Well, I'm going to take you through how I'm thinking about it, because here's the other side of everything you just said. I don't care if Notre Dame was ranked number 5 at the time. That's a reflection not of how good the team was, but how good people thought they were at the time. That's the preseason poll. I actually think Notre Dame and Texas are not that far apart in terms of talent, in terms of perform who they are this year. I don't think there's that much separation. I think they're in roughly the same tier of college football. Alabama went on the road and won late. Ohio State at home won that game late. Alabama was closer to losing, but in terms of game control, it wasn't a significant difference over teams that are relatively the same level. And when Ohio State had to play a team of Utah State's level, that was today, Arkansas State, it was a little sloppy. It was a little rough. It was a little undisciplined. And yes, they didn't hold him they held him without a touchdown, but there's a way this game could have been a shutout without some big mistakes that Ohio State made. And that's what we see because we're up close with it. Alabama played Utah State and obliterated them 55-0. Again, similar tier. So all I'm going to say is I don't think it's an easy answer as to which one belongs the other, higher than the other. By the way, Notre Dame, the number 5 team, was just losing to Marshall the last we saw. I don't know how that game's going to end up. By the time you guys see this video, maybe they would have come back and pounded them. But Notre Dame is not some amazing team. They're pretty good. And Texas, I think, is pretty good because they almost beat Alabama today, and now we're getting into some circular logic. But as I'm thinking through it right now, this past week, I had Georgia 1, Alabama 2, Ohio State 3, and I'm going to have to go back and do watching some of that more of that Alabama-Texas game because I really only saw the end. But standing here right now, I don't know I have a compelling reason to change that vote.
I'll just add that their starting quarterback got hurt at the end of the first quarter. I think that's the most important variable.
Texas is starting quarterback.
It's Texas. Quinn Ewers got hurt. That's probably the most important variable as you're trying to figure that out.
Quinn Ewers was playing well before that happened, so we'll see. At the end of the day, it doesn't necessarily matter. I think for Ohio State, I think the bigger question is, why aren't you, if you are this good, maybe it's time to step up and really put a team away. And that's something that hasn't happened yet. So I think that's something they'll be trying to do next week against Toledo, 7 o'clock here in Ohio Stadium. Get the text, 614-350-3315 for everything we text out before games, and really 7 days a week, we keep them coming from Buckeye Talk, and get Buckeye Talk podcast wherever you can find them.